You think KFC is an American fast food company, successful because of a secret spice blend, making money by selling you crispy fried chicken every day. The brutal truth is, right here in America, KFC is struggling. They close dozens of locations every year, left in the dust by rivals like Chick-fil-A and Popeyes. An average Chick-fil-A store in the U.S. brings in about $8.1 million a year. KFC's number? A mere $1.4 million. Yet, somehow, KFC's parent company consistently pulls in over $6.8 billion in global revenue and maintains a massive operating profit margin. Geographic distance creates a paradox. The brand is on life support in its home country, but remains an unstoppable money-printing machine in the rest of the world. That's because most of what you believe about KFC is a flawless media illusion. The truth is, KFC isn't in the fried chicken business at all. What they actually sell, and their most terrifyingly profitable asset, is the economic power of holding onto a single piece of paper, the secret recipe. To understand how that piece of paper makes money, we have to go back to 1952. Forget the image of a flashy billion-dollar corporation. At that time, Harlan Sanders, who the world would later call the Colonel, was 62 years old, broke, in debt, and surviving on a $105 monthly Social Security check. He had to drive his beat-up car across America, sleep in the back seat, and knock on restaurant doors to pitch his chicken recipe. But the moment that defined the entire business history of KFC happened in Salt Lake City, Utah, during a meeting with a friend named Pete Harmon. Sanders didn't have the capital to open a restaurant. He offered Pete his chicken recipe, and in exchange, Sanders would receive exactly 4 cents in royalties for every chicken sold. That 1952 handshake seemed like the patchwork of a desperate old man. But in reality, when Sanders demanded 4 cents for a flour mix, he invented one of the most perfect rent-seeking systems in capitalist history. The core of KFC is this: they don't sell chicken, and they don't sell food. What they actually sell is access to intellectual property, packaged as a trade secret. The media tells you the original recipe is written in pencil on a scrap of paper, hidden in a maximum security vault in Louisville, complete with motion sensors, cameras, and thick steel doors. Many laugh this off as a dramatic marketing gimmick. And they're half right. It is a marketing gimmick. Any modern food lab could reverse engineer those 11 spices in less than a week. Black pepper, salt, thyme, basil, paprika. There is no magic here. The competitive advantage that made Sanders' chicken better in the early days was actually his modified pressure cooker, which fried chicken in 8 minutes instead of 35. But the other half of the truth is what's truly terrifying. KFC needs to turn that recipe into a sacred secret, not to trick customers, but to lock in their franchise investors. Let's look at the financial structure of franchising, the real money printer for Yum! Brands, KFC's parent company. There are over 29,900 KFC stores globally, but Yum! Owns less than 2% of them. The other 98% belong to franchise partners. These partners have to pay for the lease, buy the ovens, pay the staff, and bear 100% of the risk when chicken prices skyrocket due to avian flu. Meanwhile, the parent company doesn't fry a single piece of chicken. They just sit back and take a 4 to 5% cut of the top-line revenue. But that 5% is just the tip of the iceberg. The true economics of the secret recipe lies in a hidden tax applied directly to the supply chain. Do you think 29,900 stores around the world go out and buy their own salt and pepper to mix? Absolutely not. To protect the secret, KFC uses an extreme supply chain strategy called fragmented production. Half the recipe is given to Griffith Laboratories to blend, while the other half goes to McCormick and Company. These two mixtures are then sent to a third facility, where they are combined by automated computer systems before being packaged and shipped to restaurants. No single person, not even the executives of these suppliers, knows the complete recipe. Economically, what does this mean? It creates an artificial monopoly. Franchise owners are forced to buy these pre-mixed spice bags directly from corporate designated distributors at a marked-up price. The secret recipe acts as a DRM, or digital rights management system, for the food industry, just like how Apple forces you to use a certified lightning cable to charge your iPhone. Restaurant owners can buy cheaper raw chicken from local farms, but they cannot mix their own flour. That bag of 11 herbs and spices is the switch that activates the entire business system. Try to mix it yourself to save costs? You immediately violate the franchise agreement, lose the right to use the brand, and face a bankruptcy lawsuit. By mystifying the 11 spices, KFC legitimized selling a mix of flour and pepper at the value of an exclusive intellectual property. This squeezes massive amounts of money from franchisees without raising the official royalty percentage on paper. Furthermore, this secret is an engine that generates infinite marketing ROI. In marketing, there is a concept called saliency. Which brand pops into your head first when you're hungry? The Louisville Vault and the 11 secret spices are a self-sustaining PR machine. Every few years, a distant nephew of Colonel Sanders finds an old notebook and claims to have leaked the recipe. The global media goes crazy. Journalists write articles, YouTubers do cooking tests, and KFC issues a press release denying it. They pull in tens of millions of dollars in earned media entirely for free. Keeping the recipe a secret is far cheaper than buying Super Bowl ad slots, but the brand retention is exactly the same. And when you have saliency combined with a monopolized supply chain, you have incredible pricing power. Let's do some math to see the sheer scale of this. Suppose in one country, KFC decides to raise the price of a chicken combo by exactly 50 cents. Customers barely notice or don't care enough to abandon their meal over spare change. But let's multiply that out. One store sells 500 combos a day. There are 29,900 stores worldwide. 50 cents times 500 customers times 29,900 stores equals $7.47 million in extra revenue every single day. That's over $2.7 billion a year. With a 5% royalty cut from the top line, plus the profit margin on selling those exclusive spice bags, that unnoticed price hike instantly pumps hundreds of millions in net profit straight into Yum brand's pockets. And they didn't sweat a single drop or spend a single extra penny on production costs. That is the mathematical power of holding the secret. This power is even more evident when facing risks in massive markets like China. Instead of managing operations themselves, they sell the master franchising rights to Yum China, a completely separate entity. Yum China handles everything, from dealing with food crises and building super apps to integrating mobile payments and localizing the menu with pork porridge and egg tarts. So what does Yum brands back in the US do? They hold on to the lightest yet most powerful assets, the brand and the recipe. Thanks to this setup, no matter how volatile the Chinese market gets, the headquarters in America safely collects a steady 3% royalty fee every year. If you had invested $1,000 into Yum brand stock on the day it spun off from PepsiCo in 1997, that money would have multiplied dozens of times over. Their return on invested capital skyrocketed not because they made better chicken. It soared because they shed all the high-risk physical assets, restaurants, staff, and grills, to hold on to just one invisible asset. Looking at the next decade, even if the US market continues to be eroded by healthy eating trends, KFC will thrive. Because in Africa, India, or Southeast Asia, franchise contracts and exclusive spice bags are still being signed and shipped every day. Let's go back to 1952 in Salt Lake City. When Harlan Sanders agreed to take 4 cents for every chicken sold, he simply thought it was the only way to survive without having to wash dishes himself. He had no idea that he had written the very first line of code for a grand business operating system. Today, KFC does not sell chicken. Chicken is just the physical medium used to distribute a piece of intellectual property. By wrapping a mix of flour and black pepper in the cloak of a secret legend, they created an invisible DRM, one that locks tens of thousands of businesses around the world into their financial orbit. Millions of employees are frying chicken every day. Thousands of investors are paying rent and bearing the risks. Meanwhile, high above, inside a maximum security vault in Kentucky, that machine quietly collects those 4 cents, multiplied billions of times a year. No ovens required, no deep fryers needed, just a heavily guarded piece of paper. That is the true economics behind KFC's secret recipe.